So in this video, we're just going to be creating this ReactJS Pinterest clone. We can click the add pin here. We can choose an image. Let me choose this guy. We can add a title. Let's just say first pin. Description, my first pin. A destination link. Let's just do, I don't know, let's say yahoo.com. We can pick a size. On the actual Pinterest website, this is a board selector. We're not going to do multiple boards for this tutorial, so we're just going to choose a size for the pin. Click save and it pins it to the boards. And so we can pin other pins like this. And so I have a few pins on the board here. There's no real programming involved. CSS grid handles the responsiveness. So we can do something like this. And all we have to do is resize the browser window, and the CSS grid reconfigures itself to fit the dimensions of the actual container. Just like that. And so if this interests you at all, leave a like on this video. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And let's begin. Alright, so I have a basic ReactJS app up and running. I took out all of the unnecessary things, testing files, icons, things like that. Let's get it up and running. So I have a normalized style sheet. I can't start. I have a normalized style sheet that just gives us the font for this project, normalizes the body, takes off on any unnecessary padding for the divs in the body. I've attached that to the app. We're going to create two, so this is how we're going to do this. We're going to create a pin mockup. So we're going to create this here. Let me go to my desktop. We're going to create this guy right here, a pin mockup. And then we're going to create a mockup of the add pin page. We're going to merge those two. And after we merge those two, we're going to feed it in or merge it to the actual Pinterest layout. So for this phase, we're just creating this guy right here. This card and all of these things, the save button, these two buttons, and this button here. And this, of course, this is going to be the actual image. So let's just keep this open. Actually, let me edit this so I can mark it down. Let's go edit. All right. We do a control. Whatever. Keep it like that. All right, so we have the server up and running. Let's just check if that's the case. Is that the case? Yeah, there we go. Let's do side by side like this then. All right, so we're going to create that pin mockup. So we'll create a new component for that. Let's do this guy right here. Get rid of this. So in our components folder, we'll create a pin.js. It's going to be a functional component. And we're doing style sheets for this. You can do style objects, but we're doing style sheets for this. Styles, we'll do a pin_styles.css. All right, let's import that into the app. So import pin from /components/pin.js. There we go. Let me do this. Let's use it here, pin. We can close the app. Let's create a functional component in here, RFC. Let me just do this. Export default. We'll put it down here. Export default. Pin. Do a semicolon up here. Save. Let's import the style sheet for this guy. Import /styles/pin_styles.css. All right. So let's do this. Let's get everything on screen and then we'll do the styling. So we're going to create, what are we going to do? We're going to have this little, this input file thing. Let me get a red for that. Red. You have this little input file thing. That's just to code up the functionality. When you choose a picture, the picture should show up in the middle of the card. So we're going to get this on screen. We're going to get the entire card thing on screen. And then the save button, these three buttons, and then this image thing. So let's structure it like this. Let's start with that little input file thing. We'll give it a name of picture, the value of blank. Now for that card. So div.card. And 3 sections in this card. We have a div pin title. The user's not going to be able to see this. We're going to embed this in the HTML. You could do like, we're just doing pin title for this video, but what I would recommend is some sort of unique pin ID. In case you wanted to save this or look up some properties of that card on a database, we're just going to embed that into the HTML. The user's never going to see this information. So the pin title, we have the pin modal, so div pin modal, we'll do that. Pin modal, and we have the pin image. The pin modal is just all this stuff. It's going to be that little, the overlay of the card, and then underneath that modal is the actual image. So right here, we're going to do a pin image. Pin image like that. That's going to be an image. Source, we'll get to that. It's going to be a state variable. We'll get to that when we get to it. We'll just do pin image here. So that's the three layers to the card. We have the title that the user's not going to see. We have the modal, the overlay. Then we have the actual image underneath the overlay. So in the title, we don't need anything. Pin modal, there's two sections. There's a header right here and a footer right here. Let's do this. So let's do div modal head. And we'll do div modal foot. And in the modal head, of course, we just have this save button. So we'll just do this. Div.save underscore card with a save. Let's see if we're getting stuff on screen. F5, there you go. So that's the file thing, the save, pin image. In the modal foot, we have three sections. We have this button here. And this button is made up of two sections. The text and the actual button, and then we have one more and two more buttons here. So 3 buttons total. This button's made up of 2 buttons, or 2 sections. Alright, let's go back here. So in the modal foot, we'll do that destination. We'll call this the destination. We'll call this the send or share? Send. We'll call this the send, and we'll just call this the ellipsis. So let's do the destination button. So div destination, it's made up of 2 things. And every icon in this project, including in the modal and the final project, every icon, one of these guys here, it's going to be surrounded by a container, a class like this. Pint icon, mock icon container, like that, and the actual image in that container. So image.pint mock icon. And for the destination, it's going to be the, what did I have them at? The source is going to be /images/ we have them here. I have a folder full of images. Upper right arrow. This guy right here. Upper right arrow PNG. So upper right arrow .png. Let's do let me just do this. I need more space, and it's just going to be a bunch of stuff on screen, so you're not going to really need to see it until we start styling. So let me just do this. There we go. Up right arrow. For the alt, we'll just say destination. Pin mock icon, good. Let me just see if it goes on the screen. F5, that should be an upper. There we go. Perfect. So that is made up of the icon right here. Now we need a place for the text. We'll just do a span for that. There we go. Let's go span right here. Span, we'll say eatery, whatever. And then we have the 2 more buttons, this button and this button. And of course, we just set up the code for that. So copy these 3 lines. And we have 1 button and 2 buttons there. The format. This guy is going to be the, I think it was share or send. Send.png. Send.png. And we'll say this guy's the send. And this guy was just the ellipses. So ELLIPSE, no S, se.png, and this guy will just say, let's say edit options, whatever you want. So let's save that. Let's see if it's on the screen. And why isn't this thing auto? There we go. All right, so we have those guys on the screen. We have pin title, the modal. What is a head, a foot, 3 icons, pin image. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I am. All right, let's start styling this with the CSS. And we'll just go in the order that we put stuff on the screen. This doesn't need a style. It's not going to be in the final thing. What? This will, but a version of it. So we'll just go in card, pin title, modal head, or modal head, foot, container. All right, let's get started. So that's the CSS. Now we'll do the side by side. All right, so let's start with the card first. We'll do a width of 252 pixels. We'll do a height of 512 pixels, 512 pixels. Let's do a background color of green. This is not going to be the final color. You're not going to have a final color, just to see, so you guys can see what we're doing with the transformations. We're going to have a background color here. So save that. Let's do a border radius of 16 pixels. There we go. Let's do a position of relative and an overflow of hidden. Overflow of hidden. There we go. Next up was the pin title. Pin title. And again, they're not going to see it. It's just going to be embedded in the HTML. So let's do a width of 0, a height of 0, and an opacity of 0 as well. So next up after pin title is the modal. Go here. So pin modal, and it overlays the entire card. So it's going to be, of course, a width of 100%, a height of the same, EIGHT of 100%. Let's do a background color of RGBA, 0, 0, 0, and 0.1. There we go. And let me show you this. Yeah, we'll do this now. Let's do an opacity of 0. And we'll do this. Yank this, paste. We'll do a hover. And yank this, paste, opacity of 1. Close that, format, space. So when we hover over it, we're going to get this effect. That's way too quick. Let's do a transition. Transition. Duration of, let's say, 0.3 seconds. See what that looks like. There you go. So that's the modal. But just so you can see what we're transforming, let's turn that functionality, that hover thing off. So just do the opacity of 1 here. There we go. All right, so we need to fill up or make sure it's centered on the card. So we'll just do a position of absolute. Position of absolute. We'll do a top of 50%. A left of the same, and we'll do a transform, translate of -50, -50. All right, good. So within that pin modal, we have the modal head and modal foot. So we'll take care of these two because they're going to be fixed to the top and bottom, so the code's basically the same for these guys. So we'll do this. Pin modal, modal, modal head. We'll do a width of 100%, a height of 15%. We'll do a position of what would be fixed, and for the head it is a top of 0. And center, we're not going to center, we're going to make sure the elements within the head are justified to the end of the flex box. For this guy, it's just going to be space between, or space evenly. I think space evenly. So let's go back here. Display flex, justify flex end, and align on the y-axis. Center, save, and there's the save button here. We'll get these icons proper after this. So width, height, position, top, display. Good, 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 good. Let's copy this and paste it for the modal foot. Paste. This guy's going to be the foot. It's going to be fixed to the bottom, and the justify content, it's going to be space evenly. Okay, so let's do the icons now. And again, throughout this whole project, we're going to be copying and pasting these icons into different parts of the code. So we're just going to have like a generic, class, property, selector, declaration in the CSS. So instead of doing something like this, pin modal, pint, mock, icon, container, we're just going to do pint, mock, icon, container. So we can copy and paste the same code in the modal in the final product. So every icon is going to start out like this, a width and a height of 32 pixels. Let's do a background color of, and let's do F0, F0, F0. There we go. Let's round them out. Let's do 50%. Let's make sure the icon or the images in the icon are centered in the icon. So let's do a display of flex, justify center, and align item center, and make sure we have the cursor pointer. All right, let's get these images to actually fit inside the icons. So .pint mock icon, very simple, just a width of 50%. There we go. Width, height, border radius, display, background color, cursor's a pointer. Looks good. All right, let's do the header first. So the save card, this thing right here. So that was in the pin modal head, and that was a save card. We'll do a width of 53 pixels, a height of 40 pixels. 40 pixels. We'll do background color of that red, so it's going to be E60023, I think it was. Yeah, good. Let's give the text a white color. Let's center the, actually let's do a border radius first. Then we'll center the text inside. Is it 22 for this one? Yeah, it looks good. What are we doing? Center the text, so we'll do display flex. Flex, justify center, and align item center. And let's up the, fix the font. So font size of 14, px, and a font weight of 700. 700. All right, let's move it inside more, because right here it's not flush against the border. So let's do a margin right for that. Right here, with a margin right, 20 pixels. Let's see what that looks like. All right, looks good. All right, so let's do the bottom icons now. We'll start with that destination. Actually, hold on. Yeah, there we go. I forgot that. The cursor's still a text thing. Let's do a cursor pointer for that. Cursor pointer. There we go. All right, let's do the footer icons. So .pin _ modal was modal foot, and we'll do the destination first. Remember, the destination is made of these two sections. So let's get the eatery guy right next to the actual icon, and we do that with a display of flex. There we go. Let's give this a width of, I think it was 132 pixels and a height of 32 pixels. Let's give it the same color as the icons. So F0, F0, F0. There we go. Let's round the border. I think the border was, if this is 22 and this one is 16, this one is 18. If I remember correctly, 18 pixels. All right. Let's center the text on the y-axis. So align items, align items center. Let's fix the font. Font weight, we'll do 700, and we'll do a font size of 16. I think 16 is the default, but we'll just do, make it explicit. All right, let's make sure the cursor's a pointer here. So cursor pointer. All right, looks good. Width, height, border radius, display, font size, background color. Let's do this. Let me show you this. Save. Notice how the text goes off screen. Let me do F5. So the text goes off screen. So we can fix that with an overflow hidden right here. We'll copy this right here. Let's paste that here. Space instead of destination. It was in the destination, right? Destination and span. Yeah, it was. So we can just span right here. We'll just do an overflow of hidden. There we go. But notice how the icon gets squished. To prevent that, we'll just do this for all of the icons right here. Right here. Let's do I think it was flex shrink. Yeah, there we go. Flex shrink 0. Save. And it should, there we go. So we have the icons properly aligned and not warping on us. Let's go back to eatery. Okay, those are the icons. What do we need to do next? We have the icons done. We have the icons. We need this pin image stuff. That's pretty simple. We just want the pin image to be centered and to take up the entire space of the card. So that was a span. Don't need anything special for these guys. All right. Pin image. Width 100%, height 100%, center, position. Should we do that? Yeah, we'll do that. Position absolute. Top, let me scroll up just a bit. Top 50%, left 50%, And we'll transform. I'm not sure if we need this, but we'll just do it. 50%, 50%. Save. Let's get the contents of the pin image, which is the actual image in the center of the screen. So we'll just do a display, flex, justify center, align items center. We should get the pin image right in the center here. F5. No, why is that width absolute? I'm not sure if we need this stuff here. So that works. Does that work? I don't think we need this, so let's delete this. Okay, pin image, and of course the pin image itself. So pin image. Let's do a width of 100%, a left of 100%, and I think this one definitely needs the to center the image. Top 50%, left 50%, transform, translate, -50, -50. Actually, that looks wrong. We want the image to be centered, so I don't think we need this at all. Save. Should go in the center. Width 100, you know what's going on? All right, it's going to be, should I say this now? Throughout the video, you'll see why for now, we're just going to do something like this. We're just going to go max height, 100% like that. There we go. And throughout the video, the next phases, you're going to see that we're either going to need max height or max width, depending on the default dimensions of the image that we choose. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple with a max height of 100%. All right, so everything's on screen. Let's turn on the modal stuff here. Next up is we're just going to code for choosing the file and then putting the source of the file in the pin image. Button, 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 button. All right, let's close this. And that's going to be on the input here. So we'll do an onChange listener. OnChange, we'll just call a function. We'll call it upload image like that. And it gets past the event. Yes, it does. Let's write that function here. So function upload image. Actually, we need event, and we need to set the say set pin image like that. And now we deal with the state. So let's do this. And we don't need to do this. Let's go here. We don't need this. We can close this. Don't save. All right, let me give the event object here. So you're going to give an event object, and you're going to give a state, setting state object called set pin image. Let's code for that set pin image, which means this. So we'll do a const array, and it was going to be, let's say, pin image and set pin image is equal to use state. And we need to use state from the modules. All right, use state. There we go. All right, so we have the pin image, and the pin image is just going to be the source of the file. So we go down here for this source. We're just going to do this. That was the pin image. Pin image, pin image, set pin image, set pin image, set pin image. All right, so we need to check if there's a file in the actual, when it changes, if it's a file there. Then we check what type of file. So just this. So if event.target.files and event.target.files of 0, we know there's some sort of file there. Let's check if it's an actual image file. So we're just going to do this. If, and we're just going to use a regular expression. So what's going to be? It's going to be image. And it's going to be /*/.test event.target.files of 0, and it should be in the type. So all this is saying is if the type of the file is image/star. The star is anything. So image/png, image/gif/jpeg, whatever. If it's an image, then we'll do the uploading stuff. So first things first, we need a reader to read the image file. So const, let's say reader is equal to new file reader. Let's read it. So reader dot, and it was like read data as URL. There we go. Read as data URL, and just the actual file. So event target files 0. Now once it's read, We're going to code for the reader.onLoad function. And all we're going to do is we're going to call our setPinImage function and set it to the reader.result. And so that's going to change the state of the pin image to the actual data URL, which changes this guy, the source of the actual HTML guy, the image tag, and that should change it on our screen here. So let's save and choose a file and see if it works. So choose file. Let's go to my desktop. Let's go to work, ReactJS temp, boilerplate, public images. Let's choose this guy right here. There we go. So with the image on screen, we have the modal working. Let's choose a different file. We have the modal working, different file again. So that's good for the pin mockup. In the next phase of this project tutorial, this video, we're going to do the add pin mockup. So it's going to be a little page, a little modal where we can choose a pin, choose the image. It'll display the image here, and then we can add stuff like the pin title, the description, the destination, and choose the size. The size thing won't work. We're just getting the functionality of a modal popping up, us entering information, and choosing an image. So we'll see you guys in that phase. All right, so let's create that modal. It's going to look like this. Let's go to my desktop right here. This one right here. So we're going to create this thing here. Let me edit it so I can scratch it up a bit. Edit. All right. So we're going to have, what are we going to have? Let's do this. Red. We're going to have a container that's the actual modal. So this background right here. Let's do this. It's this background right here. Like that. Then we're going to have the actual container here. This guy right here. The container has two sides. So a left side and a right side. The left side has three sections. So section 1. Section 2 is this guy right here. And then section 3 is just this button right here. And on the right side, we just have a section 1 and a section 2. Now this thing's not going to be one-to-one in terms of its alignment. This text is probably going to be up here. We're just not going to do the little things. This input's probably going to be up here. We're not going to do the little things and get concerned with too much CSS. Just the general flow of this piece of UI. So let me just do this and we'll start. So let's go back here. We'll create a new component. Let's call that the modal. Modal.js. A new style sheet for it. We'll call it the modal styles.css. And let's use it in the app. We comment this out, copy, paste. This guy will be called the modal. And modal. And let's use it here. Modal. All right, we can save, we can close. Modal, use it. It's going to be a functional component. RFC, there we go. All right, let's import the style sheet. Let's do an import. It was /style/modal styles.css. Let me take this away. Put it down here. Export default modal. All right, so let's start with this part. Let's see. Good. Let's start with this part here. The actual background that covers the page they're on. So let's delete these two. We'll call it the add pin modal. In there, there's a container, that white background. So we'll call that the add pin container. And as I said, we have two sides to this guy, the left side and the right side. So div.side, and we'll do hashtag left side times 2. And this guy will be the right side. There we go. All right, next we have, what do we have? 3 sections on the right side. First, second, and third. Let's do space here. Div and section 1. Copy, paste, paste. This is section 2. R3. Some spacing here. Spacing up here as well. Let's do spacing like this. And in the right side, we have just section 1 and 2. There we go. Let's do this. Okay, so section 1. What do we have in section 1? Let me see. Pin modal, pin container, section, side. 3 sections, 2 sections. Good. So we have an icon. So let's steal this icon from the pin modal. So let's open up the pin, or not the pin modal, the pin component. And it is the ellipse. So we'll steal this guy right here. Yank. We'll paste that in here. Yeah, we'll just keep it at the edit. For section 2, what do we have? For section 2, we have the gray background. We have this border, if you can see it, this dashed border. We have another icon. Then we have one div for the text here and another div for the text here. But this whole thing is going to be surrounded by a label, an HTML element called a label. And that label is going to point to an input. You're not going to be able to see the input. The input's going to be that thing we had on screen. That's you click the button to choose the image, and you actually choose the image. They're not going to be able to see the label or input. But since this label surrounds this box, when they click the box, it's going to execute the input, and then they're going to get a prompt to choose the picture. So we'll do it like this. So in section 2, not div, label, we'll call it the upload image label. Upload, it'll be connected to something called an upload image. So that's the label. And in that label we have input file. That's the clicking of that button that the label points to. So input file, upload image, and we'll just do same thing for the ID, upload image. Okay, so we have the actual background, the gray container. We're going to call that, we'll call it the upload image container. Container like that. And inside that, we have the actual dashed border. So we'll do a div, and we'll do an ID for this. We'll call it dotted border. Now within that dotted border, we have the icon, so we can steal that from here. Yank, paste, and what type of icon is this? It's the, where is it? Should be the up arrow, right? Yeah, that guy. Up dash arrow PNG. Up dash arrow PNG, and we'll just send this to it would be upload image. So we have that, and then we have the 2 divs for the text here, 1 and 2. So we'll do that here, dotted border in here. Div, this one will be upload. Is it click to upload? Drag and drop. Let's say click to upload. Click to upload. The next div is just a recommendation. Use high quality JPEGs or JPEG less than 20 megabytes. Save. Let's do F5 here. Forgetting anything. Okay. Click to upload. There we go. All right, so go back. So we're done the actual little container thing here. Let's move on to the third section. It's just a button. So we'll style it as a div. So right here. Actually, I missed something. We'll go back in a second. So div, we'll just do save from site like that. Yeah, save from site. So within here, we have to show the image. So when they click the label here, they choose their image. We want this guy to disappear, and then the image to appear. So to hide the image underneath this, and then when we actually choose the image, we're just going to hide the entire label structure, and then show the image structure underneath. So with the code for the image structure. So we'll just take it from the pin. So in the pin, we have the pin image, the actual image, and that's surrounded by a card. So we need a container for, this is the container, a container for the pin image. So let's do this. We'll call it the modals pin, like that. And we'll copy the code for the pin image, yank that, we can close this, we'll just paste it in here. And this source is going to come from state. For now, we're just going to do this. There we go. All right. So we have section 1, section 2, section 3, done for the left side. Let's do the right side. And so we have a a selection menu here. This little element's made out of two elements. We're going to have a select element and a div for the button. But these two guys, they're in one container. So let's code for the container first. We'll do this. We'll do a div, and we'll call it the select size. In there, we have the actual select. We'll call it the pin size. And within there, we have some options. The first option is just going to be a default. They're going to see that. They're not going to be able to choose it, though. So let's do this. The actual default value is going to be equal to select. And the options they can select, small, and medium and large. So medium and large. And that should be medium, and that should be large. Let's save, and see if the default is the select right here. There we go. So let's select small, medium, and large. Close that. And within there, we also have so that's a select element. We need the save button. So we'll just do this right here. We'll call this the save pin. And we're just going to say save. And now for these guys, 3 inputs. Very simple. So in section 2, div, input. We'll call these classes new pin input and ID pin. So text, that's good. And I forgot one thing. For this guy right here, we need a value of blank to start off. All right, so I need 3 of these guys. There. First guy will do the pin title. Title. Second guy will do the description. On. And the third guy will do the destination. And we'll do some placeholders as well. So placeholder equals what? First one is add your title. Add your title. Second one is tell everyone what your pin is about. Tell everyone what your pin is about. And lastly, add a destination link. Add a destination link like that. Let's see what we got on screen. That's just one. There we go. Add your title, tell everyone, add a destination link. Okay, I think we have everything on screen. We have that. We have these 3. We have these 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have that. We have the container. We have the modal. All right, let's start styling this thing. Let's do all this. Let's do a split screen for this. So this gotta be the left. This gotta be the right. Not this guy, excuse me. Let's do... Should I close this? Yeah, we'll close it. This gotta be the right. All right. Let's go to modal styles. And let's begin. So the modal. So add pin modal. We'll do a width of 100%, a height of the same. Let's do a background color of RGBA. We'll do 0, 0, 0, 0.5. There we go. Let's center this on screen. So position absolute. We'll do a top of 50%, a left of the same. We'll do a transform, translate of -50%, like that. That should be an S right there. Make sure it's on top of everything. So Z index of 9999999. We'll save. Okay. That's good for the pin modal. Let's do the white container. So add pin container. TAINER. We'll do a width of 880 pixels. So 880 pixels. We'll do a height of 674 pixels. Let's do a background color of white. Like that. Let's center this on screen. So let me just copy this code right here. So we center it. And let me just do it. You're not going to be able to see it. Let's do this. So it's around the borders. So let's do that here. Border radius 16 pixels. Let's do an overflow hidden so we can cut off anything that's outside of the container. We'll do that right here. Overflow hidden. And these guys are pressed right up against the side of the container. Let's do a padding. Let's do a padding of, let's do 35 pixels. There we go. All right. Padding, width, height, border radius, position, top left, transform, overflow, background color. Let's do the sides now. Delete that. Let's go side. So of course each side has a width of 50%. It has a height of 100%, and we'll do a padding of 20 for this one. 20 px. And let's give each side a color so you guys can better see how we're transforming this thing. So we'll do left side, say background color of blue, and we'll do right side orange. Right side, we'll do an orange. Save. And that reminds me, we need a display of flex within the container. We need this orange guy to be on the right side right here. So add pin container, we'll do it right here. Display of flex, that should fix it. There we go. Let's do a padding for the sides. Should we do padding for the sides as well? Yeah, we'll do that. Or I did it already, 20 pixels. All right, let's do some copy and pasting of the code. Let's just get the icons all leveled out. We'll do this. So open the pin. What is it? Pin underscore styles. Let's take the pint mock icon, this guy right here. So copy this. You close this, and we'll just put it here. Save. There we go. So all the pins are lining up. All right, so we have the sides. Let's go section by section. We'll start with the left side first, yeah. All right, so left side section 1. This pint, or this container, this, excuse me, the icon needs to be larger. It's a bit too, I shouldn't have closed that. Let me do this. It's a bit too small. Let's edit this. We can't see it here because when you put your cursor over this, you're going to get a color on that. But trust me, this is it's larger than the default 32 by 32. So let's go back here. And we'll do pint mock icon container. We'll do a width of 40 pixels, a height of the same. And let's do a background color of, what was it going to be? I think it's 76, 76, 76. Should be a dark gray. Yeah, there we go. Actually, no, it's 239 because we need a transition. 239, 239, 239. Do 0 like that. We'll copy all of this, paste. We need a hover transition. Hover, delete, delete, delete. And we'll just do a 1 like that. Which reminds me, we need a transition duration for that as well. 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds like that. Save, see what we get. Something like that. Perfect. All right, let's do, what should we do here? I actually want to do, that's what I forgot. We actually forgot the actual sections. So let's do that right here. Just wondering why there wasn't any color there. Section 1. So section 1 has a width of 100%. So that's this guy right here. Red. That's section 1 for both these guys. That's section 1 as well. That's a width of 100%, so they each take up their full width of sides. We'll do a height of, I think it was 88, 10. It was 8%. So that's section 1. Copy, paste, paste. Section 2 was 80%. And then section 3 is just the remainder of 12%. Let's do this, 12%. Okay, and let's give these guys colors so you guys can see them stuff. Background color, let's say purple. Background color for this guy, let's say aquamarine. Background color for the section 3, let's just say fire brick. Fire brick. Save, go back, there we go. All right, let's do some stylings for the sections, for general sections. Section 1 we don't need to do any styling. We like this placement of the button. This guy has to go over here, so we have to do custom styling for just the right side section 1. So we're going to leave section 1 alone. Section 2, however, going to center all of these guys in a column, this guy as well. So we'll do this. We'll do display flex direction of column. We'll justify center and align center as well. Save, there we go. And do we need padding for this? Yes, we do. Let's do a padding of 0 for the top and the bottom, and a 10 pixels for the left and the right. There we go. Good. For section 3, we're just going to center. There's no section 3 on the right side. We're just going to center this button here. So let me copy all this, and we'll paste it here. We don't need flex direction column. Save. That guy should go there. Perfect. So section 2 has the padding, has everything. Any sort of cursor work, overflow work? No. All right. Back to the left side. So we got the button working here. Let's go to the section 2 of the left side. First things first, we'll do the label. You can't see the label, and we'll hide the choose file thing. So this left side, section 2, hashtag upload image label. We'll just do a width of 100%, a height of the same, and a cursor pointer. For let me copy this, paste this. In the label, there's the input. We'll just do a opacity of 0, a height of 0, and a width of the same. Make sure we hide that. Good. Let's style the actual gray container and the label. Not the label, excuse me, the dotted border. All right, so let me scroll down just a bit. Let me do this. Why is this doing that? There we go. All right, so let's do the actual gray container. So we'll do a left side section 2, inside the upload image label. There is the, what is it called? What do you call it? We called it the upload image container, I think we called it. Let me double check that. Image label, where is it? Upload image. Yeah, upload image container right here. Upload image container. All right, so let's do a width of 100%, a height of the same. Let's do a background color of EF. What do we got? Good. Let's round the borders just like this guy right here. These rounded borders. There we go. So we'll do a border radius of 8 pixels. There we go. And what do we need? Do we need to center anything, justify anything? I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's do actually a padding. We'll need a padding after. Let me show you. So let's copy this. And we'll paste it down here. And in the image container, we have the dotted border. That's a width of 100. Border radius the same. But we need an actual border. So 2 pixels, dashed, and that was DA. Background color, we do not need, we don't care. Save. And so the dotted border is here. We just need to push the border inside. So we're just going to create a padding for the outside container, which is this guy right here. Padding, we'll say 10 pixels, see what that looks like. 10 pixels. Yeah, it looks good. All right, let's center all of this stuff in the center of the dotted border container. So right here, let's do this. Display flex direction of column. We'll do justify content. Let me scroll up. Center and align items center. See what we get. We need to align the text as well. So text align center. That looks good. And let's get to there's the icon here, but the background for the icon's merging in with this guy. So let's fix that. We'll do this. Yeah, left side, section 2, pin mock icon container, background color. This one was the 76. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right. And let's fix this guy, this pin image. Right now, there's a dimension to it, so it's pushing the card up. Let's hide this for now. So let's go here. Yeah, let's do a left side. Actually, we don't really need to do the left side. It's the only pin image thing here, right? Modals pin. We'll do that. Modals _ pin. Why am I doing that? When we can just copy it from the pin styles. There we go. So let's copy the card from the pin styles. Yank. Paste that here. And let's copy the pin image and the image from the styles as well. These two right here. Yank. Close this and paste that here. All right. So for our card, it's not called the card. It's called the modals pin. Width same, height same, that's the same, that's the same. We don't need a background color. And let's hide it. So we'll do a display of none. And that should fix the aligning issues. There we go. So it's perfectly, well, it's off. So the card's filling the entire height of this container. JPEG less than 20. Okay, so that's the modals pin. These guys can stay the same. All right, let's go to the section 3 now. So we'll do #left side dot section 3. And that was the, what was it called? Save pin? No, save from site. So we'll do a width of, what was it, 340. And the height was 48 pixels. Background color, that same gray color, so EF. What do we get? Let's round the borders of this and center the text and bold the text. So let's round the corners, border radius 22 pixels. We will center the text, display of flex, justify center, align item center, and we'll bold the text as well. So that was font, let's do font size, font weight 700, see what that looks like. There you go. And of course, a cursor of pointer. There, cursor, pointer. All right, looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Am I forgetting anything, I wonder? Labels, taking care of the inputs, taking care of the pin image is hidden for now, displayed none. Let's move over to the right side then. All right, so for our right side, we need a section 1. We'll do a display of flex and justify flex end. Okay, let's move on to the container for that, the double elements which make up the selection. So right side, section 1, and that container was called the select size container. We'll do a width of 236, I think it was, 236 pixels, and the height was 40 pixels. We'll do, let me save that. Okay, what else do we need on there? Display of flex to get those side by side. LEX. Okay, good. All right, so let's get this select and then save. So, right side, section 1, select size, just choose the select right here. We'll do a width of 70%, a height of 100%. Good. Let's do a background color of that gray, so EF. Let's round the corners, so border none first. That's good. Let's do border top left. There we go. 8 pixels, same thing for the bottom left. That's good. Let's do, notice how when I click this, there's an outline to the select menu. Let's take that off. So right here, we're just going to do an outline of none, and let's up the font. So font size 16 pixels. There we go. Does that look like that? Yeah. Gray. Yeah, so let's move on to the save button. So let me just copy all of this. It's just a few tweaks. Copy, paste, space. Not the select, we have the save pin. The width is the remaining 30%. Height, border, doesn't matter for a div. This guy should be top right and bottom right. Outline, we don't care. The color is E60023. Is that it? Yeah. Let's center the text and make it white. So display of flex, justify center, align center as well. Save. Let's bold the text. So font weight 700. And of course, make the cursor a pointer. Cursor pointer. There we go. Good. All right, let's go to these last inputs, and then we can get to the actual JavaScript that makes this thing tick. So what do we need? Right side, section 2, and all of these guys were new pin inputs. Right, new pin input. All your classes, new pin underscore input. Yeah, perfect. All right, width 100%. Do height of 50 pixels. Let's space them out. So margin bottom of 20 pixels. Let's turn off the background color. Background color transparent. Let's increase, or excuse me, let's take off the border. Border none. Let's do a border bottom. And that was going to be RGB. No, it's going to be hashtag C6. That should be it. Border bottom. C6. Why isn't it showing up? Border bottom. Let's do this. No. Let me just do this. Let me go with a font size. Font size, we'll do a 16 pixels for this. Why isn't the border showing up? Let's take away that outline. Let's go outline here. Outline, and that was going to be none. Why isn't the border showing up for this guy? What does that mean? What is this? A component is changing uncontrolled input. Likely caused by value changing. Define what should happen. Decide between using uncontrolled. Oh, you know why? There's an actual size to it. It's not just a color. That's my bad. This guy. That should be 2 pixels. Solid. There we go. There we go. Okay, that looks good. We have everything on screen. I have to figure out that new input, or excuse me, the input error. And so we're getting an error for the input. Let me check this. You know what I think it is? So it has an input here as a value, but it expects, when you put a value, it expects you to monitor the change of the value. So it's giving me the error because we haven't coded for this yet, the on change listener. So if I do this, let me see if it works. Handle. Actually, we'll do upload image. If we do a function, let's see if we get rid of that error. Upload image. There's going to be some sort of event and some state stuff, but let's just see this. F5 that. There we go. So that's what it was. So you put a value in here, it expects you to monitor the on change. All right, so the thing looks functional. Let me turn off all of the colors. And then we'll move on to the JavaScript. So let's turn off the blue. Let's turn off the orange. The white can stay. Purple, aquamarine, and firebrick need to go. Firebrick. Anything else? Save, go back. So what do you guys think? That looks the same. This is a bit too dark, but that's okay. Can do this. Again, we're not doing the fine things like moving this recommendation thing down here, this guy down here, and you notice this font is larger than this guy. But and this guy's a bit lower than this guy right here. But as it stands, it looks pretty good. I click on this, and it prompts us for an image. Save from site. All right, looks good. Let's get to the actual programming part. All right, so let's get this thing moving. So we don't need to write down the upload image function. We have that from the pin component. So this guy right here. So let's just copy all of this, yank that, close that, paste that here, and we are using state now. So let's go down to the upload. Where are we at here? this image right here, this source. So we have multiple pieces of information on this modal. We have the image information, the image blob, the data as a URL. We have 1, 2, 3 inputs, 4 inputs, and we have some other stuff that we're going to code for. So instead of just like this from the pin where we just did image blob or whatever, right, I think we said pin image blob or whatever, we're going to create an object to store all of this information. We'll call the object pin details. And that's going to have an image blob. Let's define that now. So let's get the use state module in there. Use state. And let's do this. Const. We'll say pin details, set pin details equals use state. And we'll do an initial state for the pin details. So of author, we're not really including an author in here, just future proofing. So every pin has an author. It has a board. Let me do this. It has a title, description, destination, image blob data, and the pin size. So board, title, this was destination, no, description. This guy was destination. This guy was, what was it? Image blob, that's the image data. And this guy was the pin size. So set pin details, image blob. So when we upload a new image using the label, we click the label. It's on the on change. We need a few things. So upload image, we need the event object to test the file. We need the pin details, and we need the set pin details. So we go back up here. What's this doing? From, there we go. React from, import React from, wrong place. React, there we go. So we have the, what do we have? Pin details, and we have the set pin details. So when the image is loaded, we're going to do this. Set pin details, destructure, so the old pin details if we have information in there. And the image blob is now equal to that reader.result. Looks good. That looks good as well. All right, let's see it. What do we have from? No, there we go. Let's Control-Shift-J. Let's do inspect here, and we're paying attention to this guy, right? It's not going to show because we're not hiding the label yet. We just want to see if it's getting the information. All right, so this source unknown, just pay attention to that. We click this. There we go. So we're getting the information. Let's create some sort of state that hides the label and shows the image modal. So we'll do this right here. We'll say const, and this one will be show label. Set show label equals use state, and the default or initial value of the state would be true. You want to show the label. This guy is going to be the show modal pin. Set show modal pin. Default's false. And let's use these guys down here. So for the label, we'll do this. Let's just do, what should we do? Let's do this. Styles equal to, and if there is a show label display, there we go. Let's do a show label. If that's true, we want a block display. If it's false, we want a none display. Let's just do this. Same thing for the modal pin. We'll do a style as well. Equals display. If there is a show modal pin, that's a block element, else it's a none element. Let's see if we get that correct. So right here, once we set the pin details, we'll set the show. Actually, we need to send it in the function here. Set show label, and we'll be set show modal pin. We have the set show label and set show modal pin as well. So right after we set the pin details, which shows the image or transfers the data into the HTML tree, we're going to set the show label to false, so hide the label. And we're going to set the show modal pin to true, so show the container for the image. Let's save, go back, F5. Let's see what happens. Click and click. And nothing's happening. Why not? Let's do a right-click inspect. What do we have for a label? Style display, block. Did I not do it properly? Set show label false. Set show. No, excuse me. This guy should be set. Show modal pin. There we go. Let's do an F5. Should be working. Let's try again. F5. Choose an image. There we go. All right. So notice how there's no. Well, let me show you this. Let me choose a different image. Let's choose this image. So notice the border is rounded, or the border, the corner is rounded. If we choose this image, the corner is not rounded. This has to do with that. I mentioned it early on in this video, whether or not the image has to be maximum height or maximum width. This currently is maximum height. It should be maximum width to get the. Let me do this. So we have the style. Let me take this one off. Let me just do a max width of 100%, and we get the rounded corners. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a function that checks whether or not this image is filling up the entire container. Because if we did this, take a look at this, the container for this image right here. Notice how it's not filling up the entire container. We're just going to check if it doesn't fill out the entire container and just switch the max width with the max height, or the max height with the max width. Basically, just the opposite max element attribute. So let's go into the function and do that, or the code and do that. In F5. So right here on the image, right here, we'll do an onload function. So onload, we'll call it the check size. Yeah, we'll do check size. Let's write that right down here. Function check size. We get the event object because we need to check some stuff here. So first thing we're going to do is, so the event.target is that image right there. That's the image in the HTML tree. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach this. Where do we have the image sizes? Image size, where is it? There we go. So we're going to take this away. We're going to have a different class, two different classes. We're going to have a pin max width. Let's do this. We'll do max width of 100%. And we'll have a max height class. Pin max height, like that. HIGST. So first things first, when it first loads on the tree, we'll just give it the pin max width. So event.target. Let me just do this because we're going to use it. Const, let's say image is equal to event.target. All right, so first things first, image.class list .add, and that was a pin max width. Now it's on the HTML tree. We're going to check what are the dimensions. Are they smaller than the container? It's parent container. So we'll do this. If, and there's going to be two conditionals here. So if the image.getBounding client rect, if its width is less than its parent's width. So parent element and getBounding client rect.width, or let's do this, copy paste, or the height is less than the parent container's height. If any of those are true, that means the image is not taking up the full dimensions space of its parent. So we're just going to switch out the width for the height. So copy this, paste that here. We'll do copy paste. We'll remove the width, and we'll add the height. All right, check size. Let's see if that works. Let's do an F5. Let's click this one right here. There we go. Now, it may be too quick for you, but let me just try that again. Notice how we can see the image test itself and then reconfigure. Let's stop that by, well, let's prevent the user from seeing that by doing this. So in the modal styles, instead of our pin image having a max height, we have the max height here. This one should be max height, excuse me. So instead of this having a max height, let's just do this. Let's say opacity is equal to 0. So right now we F5 it, we click it, we choose the image. Now the image is on screen. It goes through its check. It's now filling the entire container, so we don't see that sort of it going from max width to max height or max height to max width. And after we do our check, let's show the image. So we'll go back here, and we'll just do this. Image.style opacity is equal to 1. So attach the width, check if it's filling the parent container. If it's not, do your adjustments, and then show the image after the adjustments. So F5, click, click, and there we go. All right, so the image is on there. Let's create a function that when we click the save button, it gathers all of this data. So let's go back here. We're going to call that function save pin. Function, we'll call it save underscore pin. Do we need the event object for this? What do we need from this? We might need the pin details, I think. Pin details. We'll see. So when you click the save pin right here, where's the save pin? Right here. On click, save underscore pin, and we'll pass in the pin details. Piece of state. So pin details like that. All right, so let's go here and let's create an object like this. Users data is equal to object. We'll do dot 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 pin details. That should give us the image blob. When they click the button, we have to gather 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of input. And let's just do this. Let's do a default author of Jack, and we'll say the board is equal to default. Now let's get the other stuff. We have the title to get, which is document, query selector. Let's do a pin title and dot value. So we need a description, we need the destination, and we need the image blob was taken, the pin size. So this guy should be the description. Description, D-S-C-R-P-A-T-O-N. This guy will be the destination. There we go, D-S-T-I-N-E-T-I-O-N. And this guy is the pin size. And that was just the pin underscore size. Let's console log that out and see if we have it. So users data like that. Save pin, pin details, save pin, pin details. Let's see if we got it. Let's do an F5. Let's do Control-Shift-J. Let's choose an image. There we go. Title, destination, description, destination, pin size small. We save, we get the author, board, description, destination, image, blah, pin size, title. All right, so that's good for the modal. It's working. Let's do, what should we do now? How about this? Let's merge the two. So we're going to merge when we click the save, we're going to send this information to a function. That function is going to create one of our components, the pin, and it's just going to pin it, this guy right here. And it's just going to pin it to the screen. So let's do that. Let's F5 that. Well, let's create new components for that. Let's do this. Add, send, add, PNG. All right, new component. Let's call it let me close all these. So let's call this new component modal and pin.js. Let's import that in the app. Let's go yank, paste. This guy's going to be the modal and pin JS, and we'll call this the modal and pin. Modal and pin. All right, let's get a style sheet going for that. We'll call it the modal and pin styles.css. That was 1C, excuse me. Rename CSS. Here we go. All right, let's import that in our modal and pin. This guy's going to be let's do a class component because we want an array of those pin components. So RCE like that. Let me do this. What are we doing here? There we go. Export class. class. We have it on the bottom. Export default modal and pin. Semicolon, semicolon. This guy can come from the React package component. We'll need a constructor like that. The semicolon here. Constructor props, render. This guy should be out here. All right. What did I just say we were going to do? We were going to import the style sheet. That's what. Import and dot slash style slash modal. Modal and pin underscore styles.css. Let's import the, we're going to use the actual modal. So modal, let's import the pin first. Pin from dot slash pin. And we'll import the modal as well. From dot slash modal. All right, so just the HTML and CSS for this component. We're just going to have a little plus sign, a little button here. When we click that button, we want the modal to show. We enter the information, we click the save button, the modal disappears, and it's just going to show a card on the page. So let's do that. Let's call this div navigation bar. Navigation bar. And in that, we're just going to have an icon. So let's copy that icon logic from the pin.js. Copy. We'll paste. And let's get a unique class for this guy. Add pin. And it's going to be the add.png. And for the alt, we're just going to say add underscore pin. Let's save, see what we got. F5. Anything on screen? There we go. Let's style this so this pin is on the right side here. So let's do this. Let's do side by side. It's going to be relatively quick. So first things first, the navigation bar. Let's do a position, actually let's do a width of 100%, a height of 10%. Let's do a position of fixed, a top of 0. All right, let's go for the, what was it, the add pin thing. Add pin, actually let's do the mock container first. We'll do navigation bar, pin mock icon container. Let's do a width of, let's say 60 by 60 pixels. So width, height of the same. 60px, what do we get? Good. Let's do a little transition for this guy. So let's do a hover. So when we hover, let's get the background color to be, actually that's a good background color. Let's just do this, background color. We'll do a, what's 76, 76, 76. What do we get? That's good. Let's do a transition duration for this guy. It's going way too quick. Transition duration, we'll do a, let's say 0.3 seconds. And save. Let's enlarge this guy. Actually, what should we do here? Pin mock icon, let's do this. Let's do a position of relative. Relative. Let's move it away from the top of the border. We'll do a top of 10%, see what that looks like. That's good. Let's do a left of 90%. That's good. In the hover, get rid of these two. Let's do a transform as well. Transform, we'll do a scale of 1.2. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Perfect. All right, so that's the container, hover, add pin. That looks good. Let's go back here. You full screen all this stuff here. So let's finish up the HTML. So we have the navigation bar on screen. We also want the pins, the container for the pins. So we'll do this. We'll say div pin underscore container, and we're just going to have all of the pins from the state. So the pins will hold in an array. We also need a show modal variable to keep track of whether or not the modal is showing or not. We'll start it at false like that. So for this guy, we're just going to do, what did I just do? What did I just do? Let me just div.pin underscore container. Do pins right up here. And we need the show modal as well. False. All right. Let's just do a, what are we going to do? We're going to do this.state.pins. So that's the container for all the pins. We need the actual modal on screen. And why am I getting an error here? Div class name, return. Oh, we need an overarching div, excuse me. Let's just do this. Div like that. Take this, paste that here, format. There we go. So we need the actual modal on screen. So we'll do this, a container for it. We'll say, what should we say? Add pin modal container, like that. And in there, the actual modal. All right, so let's handle, what should we handle first? The add pin or the modal container? Oh, this, when you click this, this button, we'll show the modal. So let me just write that logic here. So if we click this modal, which would be this.state.show modal, if that's true, we show the modal. If that's false, just show nothing. Let's code the click handler for this guy. On click, and it's one line, so I'm not going to create a new function body in here. It's going to write it in line like this. Let's say event. Do I need the event for this? I don't think I do. So all we're going to do is we're just going to say this.setState, the show modal, and that's going to be true like that. Let's see if that works. Click. And it's not working. Control-Shift-J. Any errors? There we go. So again, F5. Let's click it. There we go. Now when we click this this gray part, now when we click the container, obviously, because if they click this, we don't want the modal to close. If they click this, however, we want the modal to close. So let's do this. Right here, let's do a on click, and we're going to need the event object for this guy because we need to check something. So if the event.target is equal, excuse me, class name is equal to, and that would be the add pin modal. So just remember that that gray part we were referring to, the add pin modal, that's this guy. So if they click this here, but not this, so if the class name is this background, close the entire modal. So let me go back here. If event modal, what we're going to do, we're going to say this.setState, the show modal to false, else don't do anything. So that would be here, else don't do anything. Is that in the correct space? Null. And we don't need the if, we're just doing a ternary, excuse me. There we go. And let me just do this. It's a bit confusing to read. Enter here. There we go, like this. On click, there we go. So if the place they click, let me save, refresh. If they click on this gray area, we should close the modal. So that opens the modal, closes the modal. Opens, closes. And I shouldn't say open and close. I should say it mounts the modal component, it unmounts the modal component. So let's do this. Show pin, show pin. All right, so in the modal, right here, when we save the pin, we want to send a message back to the modal and pin to construct a new pin and put it in the in this array. So we're going to create a function here called add_pin. It'll get the pin details, and it's going to construct a pin. Let's send that down to the modal right here. Add_pin equals this dot add_pin like that. Let's use this guy in the modal. So it's in the props. We can get rid of this console.log. And we can get props going here. I need you to send it to the save pin right here. Pin details. And what would we have? Add props.add_pin. Save will go up right here. We'll add that add pin, add_pin, and we're just going to pass all that data to that function. So add pin users data. All right, so what do we do with that data right here? We're just going to construct a pin. So we're just going to say, what are we going to do? A new array Yes, we need a new array. Actually, no, we can just do this.setState, I think. Yeah, so let's just do this.setState. We need the old state. Arrow function like this. I'm just going to return an object. And that object is going to be show modals false, so we don't need the modal anymore. And the pins are going to be the new pins. Yeah, I'll say new underscore pins like that. So let's create this new pins array. New const, new underscore pins. That's equal to an array and the old pins first. So state dot pins. And then we need to construct a new pin. So we'll do this. New pins dot push a new pin like that. And it's part of an array, so we need a unique key for it. So we'll do a key of, let's just say this.state. Should we do this.state? Yeah, whatever. This state.length, excuse me, pins.length. Just a unique key, or else it's just going to give us an error. What else do we need here? We also need the pin details. So pin underscore, actually we'll just keep it like that, camel case, is equal to the pin details that came in, like that. All right, so we've just had the pin details to the pin. We've created a new pin and we've updated. So there's new pins coming in here. We need to use these details in the actual pin component. So let's open that. And that's coming to the props like this. Props. And if the image data is coming in through the pin details, we don't need any of this logic anymore, this upload image. So let me just do this. Do that. Comment this out. Upload image, we don't need this. I'm just going to keep this code here for you guys in the source, so I won't delete any of this. We'll comment that out. And I'm still getting errors. Pin image, that's why. So, the source data is in the props.pin details.image underscore blob. The title's in the same thing. So pin title, props.pin details.title. And finally, the destination, which is right here, the eatery. And that's going to be in the props.pin details.destination. All right, looks good. Props. We can save this. We can close that. The modal's using the add pin. We can close this. There's going to be a conflicting thing you'll see in a second. The add pin takes it, sets a new state, fills the new pins array with the old pins, pushes a new pin, saves that in the state. Plus show modal add pin. All right, let's see what we get. So F5 this. Plus, let's create a new pin. This guy right here. Let's say medium. Let's say title, description, destination. We'll save. And it's not showing. Why is that? Inspect. You know why? It's on there. So I right click, inspected. There's the data. But remember what we did with that class, this guy right here, modal styles. In order to check first and then turn on or show the user the image, this pin right here is feeding off of that class. So what we need to do is we need to do a check as well for the pin. So we can copy that logic from the modal right here. Where's the check size? So we can copy this function. We can open the pin.js. We'll paste that function right here. And we'll do our checks right here. We'll do a, onload is equal to check size. We save. Let's go back. Let's do an F5. F5. There we go. Let's close that. Add a new pin. This guy, small. So notice what's going on here. Watch this. Let me do an F5 again. Click as well. Choose the image. Let's go inspect. Look at the class. This should be max width, pin max width, but the class is pin max height. And again, we're getting some conflicts in the CSS files. So just like in the modal styles here, we just had opacity for the pin image, and then we created these two new classes. In the pin styles, we still have the old logic. We're going to max height for the image. So what we're going to do is, since that feeds off of that, let's say the pin styles dictates all of the pin styles on screen. So in the modal styles, let's just get rid of all of this. We can get rid of all of this, yank this. Let me comment this out. We will paste that here and delete these 3 lines. Pin image, opacity 0. Move the max width and the max height definitions. So let's go back. Let's close. Do an F5, F5, F5. Open up. Let's do this. There we go. Small, title, description, destination, save, and we got it working. Let's add one more. This guy right here. Let's do large, title, description, destination, save. All right, so we got it working. We got the modal creating a pin. The pin gets inserted in the array of pins, and the array of pins gets inserted into the page here. That's good. All right, so all that's left to do is take this logic and just merge it with the actual Pinterest layout, so that when we choose a size, we choose the image, we choose a size, blah, 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 blah. We choose size, we save, we'll actually get a smaller container here. So let's hop onto that phase. All right, so let's bring this this project home. So we could just modify the modal and pin component, but let's just stay consistent and create a new set of component styles. So we'll call this one the final board.js. We'll have a style sheet accompanying that. So let's call it the final board styles.css. And again, it's just going to be the modal and pin. So let's copy all of this, paste that here. Let's copy the modal and pin styles. Okay, copy, paste that in here. Close this. Let's link this properly. So that's going to be the final board styles.css. This is going to be a class of final board. And down at the bottom, we also have the final board. Okay, that looks good. All right, so the actual Pinterest layout, the logic for that, we built it in a previous video. I'm not going to go over it in this video. I'll have a link in the description pointing to that tutorial. I'm just going to import it and we're going to modify it just a bit. And so those files should be on my desktop. Let's do this first. So in the app, let's actually use the final board. This is the final board. This is the final board.js, and we'll use it here. Final board. There we go. All right, my desktop. Right here, these two guys. Let's import it here. So for the Pinterest layout, we just need a div with the class name pin container. We already have that right here. So that's going to be the actual logic for the Pinterest layout. We just need these styles for the pin container. So we'll take this right here. And this is a style object, so we're going to need to modify it into proper CSS. So copy. Let's go to our final board. Let me close the app right here. All right, pin container. It's a class, so we need the period there. We don't need the colons there. Let's turn all of these commas. So that's 23 to the end. All of these commas into semicolons. Do global. And so we need to put that back to a comma. Take away all of these, what do you call these? Apostrophes. Let me just do this. 27 to the end. Let's remove all of the apostrophes like that. There we go. And not camel case, we need this. Grid template columns. We also need grid auto rows. Grid auto rows. We need justify content. And we don't need a background color for this. And we don't need to transform with the position stuff. So that's the pin key. That's the logic for the grid layout, the Pinterest layout. Width is good. Display grid columns 250, 10, center. Good. All right, so for the pin, we have styles like this. So it just takes the card and the card, whether it's small, medium, or large. We're going to modify this just a bit. So let's copy these styles. Copy that. Just yank that, close this. Do a paste. And let's do this. All right, so the card is .card. And this card's going to override the card in the pin style. So we can comment this guy out. Like that. We're going to need the position and the overflow of this card, though. because that was for the logic of this tutorial. We didn't need this logic right here for that previous tutorial. So copy those 2 lines. Let me save, close, paste them here. We don't want a color for the cards. And let me just do this. So from 32 to the end, let's replace all of those colons with nothing. Let's go again, 32 to the end. Let's replace all of the apostrophes with nothing. And then finally, 32 to the end. Let's replace all of the end commas with a semicolon. There we go. Margin. Make this. Border radius needs to be border radius. There we go. And position, relative, overflow hidden. Let's get onto for these guys, we're just going to do card underscore small like that. Card underscore medium, and the card underscore large like that. Grid row end, span 26, span 33, span 45. And we need colons here, colons here, colons here. Grid row end here. And finally grid row end there. Some spacing. All right. That looks good for the Pinterest layout. Margin, padding, border radius, position, overflow. Let's test this thing out and see if we got it working. So let's go here. We'll do an F5. So the button's right here. Let's do large, medium, and then small. So large, blah, blah, blah. That's good. Let's do a medium. And it's not going to work. You'll see why in a second. Medium, blah, blah, blah. And notice how it's warped. Let's do right-click inspect. So this is the card here. It just has the card class. We need a card medium, small, or large. So when we pass down the pin details into the pin, we have to use the pin size. So let's open up the pin. And let me comment this out in case you guys want to see this code on the source code. So let me do this. So this card needs to be this. So we definitely want the class card. But we also want this class here. Card small, medium, or large. So we'll do this card underscore, and it was props.pin details.pin underscore size. Let's save that and see if that works. F5. Close this. Let's just do medium right away. See if that works. Medium, blah, blah, blah. We save, and it's still not working. We inspect. It has the card medium. This extra div here, that's the problem. So it would be this guy right here. So let's comment this guy out. And actually, I don't know if that's going to allow us to do that. We might need to do how should I do this? Maybe like this. Will that work? And I'll give this all. That should work. This is the first div with the card underscore. Let's see if that works. All right. F5. Let's go large, medium, small. Large, blah, blah, blah. We'll save. Let's do a medium. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Let's do a small. So we'll do this guy right here. We'll do a small, blah, 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 save. There we go. So we have the large, we have the medium, we have the small. Let's add a few more. Let's add 2 more. Let's do this guy in a medium. Blah, blah, blah. Save, and let's add a large. We'll do this guy in the large. Blah, blah, and blah. There we go. Let's do the responsiveness. It should reconfigure. There we go. Go, 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 go. Scroll down. That's good. The modal still works for each card. And that's the tutorial, guys. A full Pinterest mock-up clone, not the entire site, but the bulk of the functionality of Pinterest. A grid layout that's perfectly responsive, that reconfigures, and has 3 different sizes. And of course, on the Pinterest site, this guy is not a select small, medium, large. It's automatic based on the image you upload. It's a bit too complicated for this tutorial. On the Pinterest site, this is like, I think you choose the board you want to pin it to. We're not going to do multiple boards in this video, just a single board. So that's it. Leave a like. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I will see you guys in the next video.